Hello friends and fellow aliens, thank you for tuning in to this video. It's been a little while since I uploaded. I know, there's stuff going on, I'll explain that shortly. For this one, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about being inspired, and more specifically, 3 things that I do as a wild and woolly INFJ to try and keep myself inspired from time to time. Obviously, getting a lot of sensory input can be a little overwhelming, but every once in a while you kind of hone in on a little thing that lets you feel those creative juices flowing. And sometimes, honestly, it can just be life-changing in a way if you're listening. And so I want to show you a couple of the things that I experience and that I do when I feel myself in either a creative rut or just generally feeling a ton of malaise. Now, my birthday is tomorrow, and the reason I'm laughing is because I'm using the word malaise and then I'm shifting into my birthday. Because frankly, my birthday is kind of it's one of those days. Like, I'm not really sure what to think about it. Honestly, I do miss, I miss the days where you had like birthday hats and you had little parties with your buddies. I am not 8 years old anymore, so it's kind of inappropriate to do that at this point. Or at least, without being judged quite a bit. So what I do now is I just kind of let my birthday come and go. I'm recording this on Wednesday. I'm going to see if I can get this uploaded tonight. If not, I'll upload it tomorrow on my birthday, which is May 14th. And I'm going to be 45 years old. It's a weird number. It's weird to think that 45 years have passed with me running around on this earth. So a little bit of perspective on today. And I'm going to go ahead and take you for a ride. We're going to go on a little trip. And I'm going to show you the first place or one of the first types of places that can inspire me. And come along. Right? Come along with me and let's check this out. And then I'll come back here and I'll talk about a couple of other things that I use to just keep that creativity going and keep my mind engaged and keep those dreams right in front of me. So let me do an intro and then I'm going to take you for a ride. Here we go. So, sitting in my driveway, I realize this car might look a little fancy. This car is not fancy. I just spent too much money trying to get it fixed because it perpetually has issues, but it is paid for, and that's what matters. And it brings me joy, and you've got to do some things that bring you joy. Maybe that's the first lesson to trying to be inspired. Do those things that bring you a little bit of joy here and there. And so we'll hone in on that, right? I'm going to go ahead, get this started, and then go for a ride. See if I can get a little bit of footage so you can see some of the nice scenery that I'm going to see as I'm driving. And then catch up with you in just a moment, right? Here we go. I'll take it. nice, right? So why here? Why'd I bring you here? Why'd I walk through mud for a half hour to show you this view? I mean, check it out, right? So there's a reason. And when we talk about inspiration and being inspired, one of the things I like to do is go to a place where I feel small. I know it sounds kind of counterintuitive, like to be inspired by feeling kind of insignificant, but I don't know about you, for me it's kind of the opposite. When I look at a place like this and I check out this view, my problems don't seem so big anymore. You know? You can see my house from here, by the way. Something like this just, it gives you this weird kind of perspective on things. And so, to me, a place like this allows my mind to roam and allows me to feel like I can stretch out a little bit, be it creatively or just personally. You know? Things aren't such a big deal from this view. That's why I envy birds as much as I do. I'm just flying around. Everything's so small. It's kind of that extroverted sensing hit, you know? It's just a lot to take in, but it lets you wander, it lets your mind move around, it lets you think about all sorts of other things, right? What's going through your head right now? To me, let me see if I can point down a little bit. I look at all the cars, right? All those people moving on throughout their daily lives, and I've got this perch that I'm hanging out on. And it makes me wonder where they're going and if they're just totally absorbed in their issues and their problems, which is fine, we all do it. But when you look at something like this, it just doesn't seem like too big of a deal anymore, which is kind of nice. It's nice to be able to let go and just think that way for a few. With my head, I always look at these mountains and stuff like that and think about how long they've been here for and what have they gone through and what have they seen. It's just a giant creative waterfall pouring into my head right now. And when I'm home and I'm sitting in my office and I have a blank page in front of me and I want to write something, I forget about this view. It's not in my head, it's not in my mind. So coming to a spot like this once in a while, it doesn't have to be anything this, this grand even, but anything that makes me feel like a speck on a giant rock, it helps me, and it helps inspire me. I hope it inspires you too. Just a moment to reflect. Doesn't take much more than that. I'm going to hang out for a few minutes, and then we'll head back to my office where all of my problems are much bigger. So I'm heading down the trail, and I spot on the ground this brook. And I'm like, I don't know who this would be, but just a few minutes ago on their way up was a lovely family, and they had a young daughter and a young son, and so I'm guessing drop this somewhere along the way. So what I'm going to do, there's a point to this, just hang with me, right? Is kind of hook it on this tree real quick, see if you can see it, and just kind of let it hang there, right? In the hopes that when they come back down and they see the trail, that'll be hanging right in front of their face. Is that like an extroverted feeling thing? Because I don't want poor Brooke to feel bad. It looks like a pretty well-worn thing. I don't know. Maybe it is. Our random acts of kindness actually acts of extroverted feeling. Makes me wonder. I don't know. If you have thoughts on that, let me know. Throw them in the comments and I'm going to head back to the car, get back home, and then talk to you for a little bit about the second thing that I like to do when I need to feel inspired. So I will catch up with you in just a moment. Thank you for coming on that ride with me and sticking around. I hope you liked it. I hope you liked the scenery as much as I love that scenery. And I don't know, it's just that kind of place, you know, that feeling that everything is put into perspective in just an instant. You know, as soon as that vista opens up for me, it's just a way to get all of my really insane thoughts that I have on any given moment of any given day and just put it into perfect perspective. And so there you go. That was my little adventurous hike. And I got plenty of steps in, and so that was good too. That was my second walk of the day. I'm a little tired, just saying. So number 2 on ways that I feel inspired. And I don't know if this is particularly just like as an INFJ thing, but for a lot of you, you watch my videos and I speak to a lot of you, and some of the things that I say here resonate. And I like to think that it's because we have some of those cognitive functions in common. And so we're like minds, you know, and like minds, we're gonna think the same way on a lot of things. And so I hope this next one helps give you some perspective as well, because I'm going to share with you 8 words that, well, changed my life. 8 words that changed my life. And it comes from this card. It says so. And I don't know if you can see it right here. I'm going to try and hold it a little closer. A collection of questions for deeper discussion. That's my so card. So, a little over a year ago, I was in a writing group, and some of you know this story because I have mentioned it before on some of my other videos, but I wanted to go a little bit more in depth as to what this particular little card means to me. And we were looking for writing prompts, and I was like, all right, I have this deck and it's called the So deck, and let me pull a card out of the deck and we'll write about that thing, whatever it is, because it's just a topic of discussion. So it's a nice way as a conversation starter or whatever else. Perfect as writing prompts. And this was the one that I came up with, or that I pulled out of the deck. And it was, what is the oldest item in your possession? Think about it for a second. What is the oldest item in your possession, right? So, talking about being inspired and inspiration. And I thought to myself, sure, I can talk about, you know, my grandfather's ring that I have, or I can talk about some kind of trinket or whatever that I have lying around the house. Well, what fun is that? So I pushed this question off of myself, and I said, all right, what if there was an item that was the oldest item in the world? And what would that item be? And who would have it? These 8 words wormed their way into my brain. What is the oldest item in your possession? Then I went to what is the oldest item in the world? What would it be? What would it look like? What characteristics or traits would it have? And then I went to who would have it. And then all of a sudden I started thinking about a character. And this name popped into my head, and his name is William. And where would he be from? And why would he have this thing? And what actually is it? All of these ideas, I'm going to show you this, turned into this. It's a novel. It's a completed book. Not edited. I'm working on that. But it is finished. And 8 words turned into this. So many words. So much editing that needs to be done. 87,000 words worth of editing. The story just went on and on and on, and I couldn't get it out of my head. I went to sleep at night, and it's all I thought about was William. His name is William St. Denis, that is a protagonist. And what is he like? Well, he's an unhealthy INFJ is what he's like, because he's lost and he's confused, and he's in a supernatural world that is just kind of coming apart at the seams for him. You know, he has no direction. He doesn't know where he's going. He's tired of what he's doing, but he has to do it. He has a responsibility to uphold. And so this story just kept going on, and my brain couldn't handle it. And every few weeks, I kept looking back, and I started thinking about that question again. What is the oldest item in your possession? And how I could have just said, like, it's my grandfather's ring. You know, and that's the oldest thing in my possession. The thing was almost 100 years old. But no, I just went kind of nuts with it. And so in terms of inspiration, think about it this way. Any question that somebody asks you, any thought that you ponder, make it bigger. Think about it in some other kind of terms. Think about it in a cosmic scale. You're an INFJ. You're a dreamer. And you have this imagination. Use it, right? Let it expand. Let it run wild. Don't care about what somebody thinks about it. Don't care about somebody's like, well, it's just like a dumb idea. It doesn't matter, right? It's your idea. It's yours. You're not trying to please everybody. You're certainly not trying to please that person who would just offhand dismiss your vivid internal world. Why? Why let him do that? My sweet, sweet INFJ friend, don't. Right? Let your imagination go. And that's what I ended up doing. And I got a book out of it. You know, and sure, it took a year. And yeah, it came with really frustrating days where I sat down and I had every intention to write, and I had the time and everything, you know, all the wind at my back. And 100 words came out. I hated them. I threw them out. And I packed it in, and I didn't write anything for another 3 weeks. I had days where I didn't think I was going to write, and 3,000 words spilled out because I hit just a part of the story that just went nuts in my mind, and I just let that internal world pour onto the page. And then I started writing through myself, writing things that I know and things that I experience, and putting those into the story. Little things like that make a huge difference as far as being inspired goes. Everything you see, everything you touch, everything you hear, every conversation you have, just like when I was at the top of that vista, right? And looking at everything down there and looking at the cars and just wondering what those stories are and what are those people doing. Not to mention just the visual impact of seeing something like that, but also just digging down and thinking about all the individual little happenings that are going on, and none of those people saw me up there. It was too far away, you know? So it just makes it really interesting to think about and to have that perspective. 8 words. 8 simple words. And here's what I want you to remember. Any given day, something can happen to you that is completely unexpected. And it can change you. It can completely alter your trajectory. It can change your life for the rest of it. But are you listening to those things? And that's part of trying to be healthy and understanding who you are, and understanding that if you are the dreamer, you need to be that dreamer, and you need to listen. You never know when the universe shoves something in front of you and says, hey, this is going on now, and you need to pay attention. It's pretty cool when it happens. It's pretty cool. Call it good times, but like really good times. The last thing I want to quickly touch on as far as being inspired and something that you can be inspired by is asking questions. Look, as an INFJ in particular, we tend to get lost in our own heads. And every issue that we have, everything that we go through just seems really intense. And it's not when you boil things down. When you really let go of all the fluff around things, we experience a simple set of emotions. And that simple set of emotions has other things bombarding us, and that's what makes it feel complicated, but a lot of times it just really isn't complicated at all. So instead of getting locked into your head, escape. And the way you would escape, talk to somebody. Find their story. Ask about what they're going through. Ask them a challenging question. Something that they might even almost struggle to answer. Make somebody really, really think about that answer. And you'll be surprised when you do this and you start hearing other people's perspectives about how much you start to let go of the things that are keeping you in a sort of emotional and or mental internal prison. You start to experience those words from somebody else. And if you really stay there, open your ears, open your mind, open your heart, and listen, you'll find that their story can be something that can absolutely inspire you. I get inspiration from all kinds of people that I talk to, even the people that, I receive a lot of emails and a lot of messages from many of you viewers. And some of them from people that I've never interacted with in comments before. Some I just get an email out of nowhere. It says, I've been watching you for a while. I've never commented. I just wanted to send you this and I wanted to send a personal note. And I'm always struck by how much an in-depth conversation can happen very quickly. There are so many things going on with all of us. Being that person that's able to say like, hey, I want to listen to you. And let me really just try and absorb this. Let go of my own stuff and feel what you've got going on. And when I do that, I get inspired by these stories. I think a lot of times, even when people really struggle, I have that video that I had up about depression. And that one in particular I've received a lot of messages from many of you who have suffered through it. And in ways that were much deeper and much darker than what I went through. And hearing about how you got through it and how you overcame things, that's about as inspirational as you can possibly get. But you've got to get out of your own head, ask the questions, hear from people, reach out, and be open to those stories. And so when somebody starts to confide in you, even just a little bit, dig in. Dig in, ask the questions, let go of your own, and let go of those parallels. Oh, you went through that, I went through that too, and this is what happened to me, and so on and so on and so on and so on. Forget that, right? Drop it and be like, okay, tell me about this. Tell me about this. How did this make you feel? How did this make you feel? And really just try and bring that out from that person. And I think you'll find that even somebody who doesn't seem like they've been through a lot can really tell you some stories that can teach you some things and help you learn and help you be inspired and really inspire your creativity. I think this whole thing is really about perspective. And when you have that good perspective, inspiration is pretty easy. It's all over the place. You just got to look. I really hope this video helped you. It's a topic that's near and dear to my heart. And I definitely wanted to try something a little different with taking you on a little hike there. So let me know in the comments, what are some things that inspire you? Some things that you've seen, some things that you've experienced. What is it? What is that thing that puts some creative wind in your sails? I hear from so many of you creatives and you're like, I need help. I'm in a rut. Now's your chance, right? Write down that thing that has inspired you at one point and read and reply to some of the other people that are here, because I think there's a lot of fruitful conversations that we can all have. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. I'm going to go not eat birthday cake because Sugar and I don't really get along. I'm going to go have a bag of candy corn. You know that's not happening. I'm just saying. As always, I love you and I appreciate you, and I will see you very, very soon.